And Alex, you have co-host, so you can screen share whenever you're ready.
That's cool. I don't know if you wanted slides, so I just did a verbal topic.
Bro, that's it's gonna be gas. It's gonna be heat. Verbal messages are gonna
Be
heat.
I'm not the slides guy, as you know from Olean.
No need. No need. So let me give you a little bit about Alex. Take out your pen and paper, okay? So you can take some notes on this. And I want to introduce Alex a little bit. I get the pleasure of introducing Alex Bolles. So Alex Bolles, AB, if you will. Alex is one of the best district managers in the company. Okay, not just his division, not just the region, the company. Alex has sold over $300,000 personally. Okay. He's also already over $1.5 million in his career sales in his first 2 years as a district manager. 1.5 million in 2 years. The average representative, just for context, that starts in a vector office across the nation, they sell about $2,000 on average. Okay. The average rep on Alex's team in his first summer, which was 2 years ago, sold $3,600, not including what they sold when they got past 30 grand. The average rep on Alex's team this past summer, his second summer, sold over $8,000. Could you imagine if every single person who came into training with you was guaranteed to sell 8 grand? And every other office expects them to sell 2. And that's, again, not including what they sold once they got past 30 grand. Last fall, right, the one that we just finished, these last 4 months, September through December, his average rep, you want to guess how much they sold?
higher,
Higher. Mm-hmm.
higher, 12, 14.
15K.
$18,000.
Oh man.
The Alex Bolles.
I'm changing.
Alex won. He won President's Banquet, his first fall and his second fall as district manager. Not many people can say that. Alex was a main stage speaker at SLC, which is where we have our national manager conference in San Diego this past year. So he spoke in front of the president of our company, all the division managers, and all the district managers. Alex won PLS last summer, one of the top 15 district managers in Vector East. He was number 2 behind his original district manager, Amir Habash. However, Alex did finish the year as the number 1 district office in new business in our region. Alex has a personal average order over $1,000. And he finished last year over 800,000 in total business, won the Sword of Excellence in his first full year as a district manager. As I mentioned, literally one of the best managers in the company. And he's only just now in his 3rd year as a district manager. So, Alex, thank you, sir, for giving back and delivering the goods to us. We're all ready to take some notes and learn.
Dude, Ron, I need to pay you every time I'm about to do a message to come introduce me. So it's great to see everybody on Ron's team. I do have a lot of personal love for Ron. He's one of my favorite managers. And I kind of texted them this as well. Like, I wouldn't say I'm as necessarily willing with everyone to give just a message of, any time, but I do love Ron just as a manager. And I want to say you guys are working under somebody who not only is great in the business, but somebody that I value a lot personally. And so I want to thank him and thank all of you guys for giving me the time of day to give this message to you. So Ron had asked me, he had reached out to me and asked me about phoning tips for everybody and how to sort of ensure that you guys are getting, number one, quality demos, but also efficiency. And so the first thing that he wanted me to start with was minimizing reschedules on the phone and sort of the why and the how. And if anyone in this room has heard me give a message before, I'm a big fan or a big proponent of the why before the how. Because a lot of times the only reason why people as a whole do things in their life is simply due to their why behind them. And what that means is even if something is so motivating to somebody, yet not motivating to another, if the outcome's the same, they're not going to go after it. And my objective for this first portion is to give everyone a reason as to why you should listen to me. Ron's already sort of covered my stats, but I want to give you guys some clarity. Ron, how long do I have again? Like 30 minutes? All right, great. I love all the thumbs up. So I have about 30 minutes. The reason why you should listen over the next 30 minutes is you're going to be here anyways. Meaning whether you're listening, whether you're attentive, whether you're not, the time is going to pass by anyways. So you might as well make the most of it. You might as well take as many notes as possible. You might as well be engaged because the time is going to pass by either way. And the only separating factor between you and the person sitting next to you is what you do with this information, not what you've been told. I'm going to say that again. The only separating factor between you and the person next to you isn't what you've been told, but what you do with the information beyond this message. And that's what's going to separate you guys in anything that you do. That's a life skill, not a knife skill. All the information that you've been given at this job has no merit. It's simply what you do with it. So I'm going to start with the why. The reason why we need to focus on minimizing reschedules on the phone is for a very simple reason, and something that I understood very early on as a representative. For reference for you guys, by the way, this isn't a stat that everyone really shares that often, but I have an over 90% completion ratio for my demonstrations. Meaning that if I book a demo, it is over a 90% chance of clearing and actually going through. And here's my mindset. If I'm on the phone with somebody and they book a presentation with me, it should happen. And that sounds very cliche because everyone in their mind already thinks that. They're like, well, Alex, I already hope that the demo is going to happen. But do you actually put intention, effort, and extra sauce, or whatever it is that you want to call it, that I have for you here in a minute, by the way, that's what I call it, a special sauce, into your script to ensure that the demo is going to go through, or to ensure that that person's going to show up, or to ensure that they're excited when they show up and they're not like, oh my God, this kid's coming by the house. I only am going to give them 30 minutes of my time. So starting with the why, the reason why you should have the intention of every demo going through is because, write this down. If the demo doesn't go through, if it gets canceled for any reason, you've literally wasted your time. You've literally wasted your time. There's an hour and a half in your calendar because most of the time people don't cancel 1, 2, 3 days before. I'm sure all of you have gotten a text message in here 5 to 10 minutes before a demo that it's no longer happening. Who here has felt that before? Show of hands. Great. And if your hand isn't up, more power to you. I hope it never does. So you've literally wasted your time. You literally have an hour and a half in your calendar blocked out now where it's like, oh, well, I guess I'll phone. But you're literally going to do the same action that alluded to the result of you getting canceled on in the first place. You should do the demo if it went into your calendar. Something that somebody else told me a long time ago, this wasn't even Cutco related, but, and Ron, I hope you're okay if I curse once. Somebody one time told me outside of Cutco, I had a demo booked and I was hanging out with one of my friends who was a little bit older than me. And they go, what an asshole. Because I told them that I had a demo get rescheduled on me, for an hour later. They're like, what an asshole. And I'm like, yeah, it happens all the time. And he's not in sales. And he's like, it does? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, not all the time, but people have things come up. And he's like, I can't believe this was his genuine statement. And it hit me so hard. I can't believe a grown adult committed to something and bailed on you an hour before. And in my head, I'm like, wow, that is actually kind of crazy. A grown adult committed to something with a college student and blew them off like they were nobody. Don't be a nobody. When I think to myself, oh, someone canceled on me, this is the mindset I want you guys to understand. If somebody cancels on you, it's because they think in their minds they could be doing something better. If somebody cancels on you, it means in their minds they think they could be doing something better. And that's such disrespect to you as a sales representative because it doesn't say as much about them as it does about you. Yes, they could have something going on. Yes, they could have had something else come up, but that we can't control that. What we can control is understanding that for us as individuals, we somehow convince them that they have better things to do. I'm going to say that again. We somehow spent 15 minutes with them to convince them they had something else better to do than sit and watch our demo. Because we can control that. We can't control Timmy's softball game. We can control them getting sick. But I can tell you this. I've controlled it in such a way where my first ever demo as a sales rep during the January push, my first year, I did the demo through her window because she had COVID and had a $600 order. Because it meant something to me to be there. Therefore, I made her aware of that on the phone. And I'm going to touch on that here in a minute on how I do that. But the why behind this is every single time that I have a reschedule, it's not as much I suck as it is feedback that I'm doing something wrong. The only way you're going to get better at this job and the only way you're going to get better at anything in your life is raising your hand and going, what did I do wrong to avoid this outcome? Yes, it may not have been in your control, but the only way to be successful is control what you can control. It serves you no purpose to not want to try and get better at this. It's actually one of the easiest parts of our job. Think about it. We're phoning and air conditioning, hopefully, right? We're phoning and air conditioning, setting people up for presentations. That is literally the only part that matters, because if we sit there, book 10 appointments, but then complete none of them, you've evidently wasted those 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. And all of it was for nothing. So if you're going to get on the phone with them, write this down. If you're going to get on the phone with them and they're going to give you a day and time that they can be there, they better be there. That's the mindset I have. Now, does that happen every time? Of course not. But the mindset that you're in will serve you and increase that percentage to show up more often. If they commit to an a day and a time, they better be there. So that's the why for me is if I'm setting up somebody for an appointment and they're a grown adult who should know how to manage a calendar, then I better explain to them why they have nothing better going on from Tuesday to 2 to 3 p.m. that day. That's my mindset. Now let's talk about the how. How do I prevent reschedules on the phone? This comes down to a million factors. And my objective whenever I'm giving somebody a message is, I don't want to preach information that you've already heard, because then that would be stupid. The objective of this 30 minutes is it serves you in a way where you've heard things before that you never have, that you go out and implement so you can get different and better results. So going into my toolbox, all right, how I prevent reschedules is a couple things. Ron, I will actually like to screen share. Can I do that? Oh, here we go. Oh, maybe I can't. Hold on. I might have to allow it.
Yeah, with new Macs, sometimes you have to give Zoom access.
How do I do that? Sorry, I'm not tech savvy.
Get an HP.
Yeah.
You may have to go into your settings in your computer and do that.
I did it for myself, but I don't know how to do it.
Oh, here we go. Found it. All right. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
We see Zoom looks great.
Yeah. That's how I got here. I need to get to my thing. Sorry. I make fun of Ron sometimes for being old, but I'm clearly not tech savvy myself. So here's my personal sales sheet. So this is the first thing that I do when I'm calling somebody, and obviously like this has changed over the years, and this is not all my recommendations, just the ones that I have in Charlotte. My spreadsheet's obviously going to be a little bit different to yours. I recommend you set it up this way. So how I put my people at the top is I put their name, how much by the way, this is not doing justice to my average order here. If I scroll up a little bit, this will hopefully qualify me a little bit more. 450, 700, 2 grand, 1,500, 600, 1,600, 2 grand, blah, 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 blah. I put their name, their spouse's name, their last name, how much CPO, where they lived, how much their house was when I met them. Why is this important? When I'm calling Monica Woodruff, this is the beginning of my script. I want you guys to understand this. One of the questions that I asked myself all the time when I was a sales representative was, my mom showed up to my appointment and my mom bought a signature set. How good was I when I did my mom's demo? I sucked. I literally knew nothing. I sat there, I read the piece of paper, and she bought a signature set from me. I'm sure that wasn't everybody's parents, but my assumption is 90% of parents or more are going to want to show up to their kid's demo and are going to want to buy something. So the mentality that I want to have when I'm showing to a customer is write this down. How close can I get to being perceived as this person's son or daughter, whether you're a male or a female? How close can I get to being perceived as this person's son or daughter? Why? Because if I can, then it gives me all the leverage in the world every time I say something beyond that. Because if they already like me, then my words have more meaning. If they already like me, then everything that I say, they already connect with and trust me on. And that does not start on your demo. Write this down. It starts on the phone. Your connection with the customer does not start on the demo. It starts on the phone. So when I'm calling Monica Woodruff, this is exactly how I say it. Hey, Monica. Yeah. Hey, Monica, this is Alex Bolles. I'm not sure if my name rings a bell, but I'm really good friends with Melanie and Greg, the Schmidts. Did they mention I might be giving you a call? And that verbiage is very important. I'm really good friends because I am. I made a great connection with Melanie and Greg. And if Monica texted them, they would tell me that she needs to show up and she needs to buy. Hey, I'm really great friends with Melanie and Greg, the Schmidts. Did they mention I might be giving you a call? And that already has an instant connection because I sound like a kid that just knows them. And they're like, oh, no, what's up, right? Or, oh, yeah, what's up? And then I go through my pitch, and I'll cover more of the pitch later. But that's the first key, most important part. Hey, Monica, my name's Alex Bolles. I'm not sure if my name rings a bell, but I'm really good friends with Melanie and Greg, the Schmidts. Or if I'm calling Rita, hey, Rita, I'm friends with Kathy and Mike, the Murphys. Did they mention I might be giving you a call? And then it creates this instant connection of, oh, he knows them really well. He knows the husband and the wife's name and their last name. Most new sales reps, they make the mistake of calling Kathy and going, I'm a friend of Christy's. And then Christy goes, Kathy who? Or Kathy goes, Christy who? Right? And you're like, or you know it, but you have to say it afterwards. If all these things come out collectively up front, it's an instant connection of, I know this person because they know this person. Is this all making sense for everybody? I'm seeing a little bit of head movement, hopefully great. So it creates an instant connection with them on the phone. Now, when I'm going through my schedule, all right, Ron didn't necessarily ask me on, how to book a demo, but this is how I keep the demo is they have a connection with me. So when I'm actually going through my script at this point, all right, when I'm talking to the customer, when I'm going over my times for the week, this is what I say. I'll go through my script, tell them my times, and then once they tell me the time back, I literally just repeat it to them. So let's say I go, hey, Ron, my objective is to do 10 appointments by Sunday. I only need 2 more to hit my goal. I want to make sure, I just want to make sure, could we do Monday at 5 or Tuesday at 7? Which one would be better for you? Let's say Ron said Tuesday at 7. I'm literally just going to repeat it to them. Tuesday at 7 with a question mark. So I go in an uptone. Tuesday at 7, and then they go, yes. So that's the second time they've affirmed the appointment. Write this down. How many times can you get them to reaffirm that they're going to be at their house with their spouse Tuesday at 7? How many times can you get them to reaffirm that they're going to be at their house with their spouse, ready to listen to your presentation Tuesday at 7? There's a quote that I love by Alex Hormozy, if anyone knows who that is, which is, people will never believe what you say. They will only believe what they say. So you might as well make them say it. If the customer tells me Tuesday at 7, 10 times before they get off the phone, how could they possibly do anything else? They couldn't. But that's what good salespeople do. That's how you serve your customer best. If you're a firm believer that every house in America should own Cutco because they are the best knives on planet Earth, then you better make sure they're showing up. You better make sure they know when it is. Guys, if you've ever had a dental appointment, how many times do they text and remind you that you have a dental appointment? If you ever have a doctor's appointment, how many times do they call and remind you 2 weeks out, hey, you need to make sure that you're here for this? My dermatology, if I ever go get anything checked, my dermatologist, they remind me 10 times before my appointment. A month out, 2 weeks out, a week out, the day before, the day of, right? Because they know even if I'm the one that scheduled it, shit happens. So they're going to make sure that I know I need to be there. Same thing with your customers. So I say Tuesday at 7, and here's all the ways that I get them to reaffirm it. Tuesday at 7, they go, yes. I go, Tuesday at 7 works perfectly for me, Mrs. Jones. Thank you so much. And then I plug it into my calendar. And let's go to summer. Let's go to SC2. Can you guys see my calendar? All right, great. Ron, this is when I used to work hard. So essentially in my calendar, whenever I'm booking a demo with somebody, I'm writing down their name, who it's with, obviously, and the knife emoji. And the knife emoji obviously insinuates they have Cutco. So if I have a customer that doesn't have the knife emoji next to their name, apparently I only see Cutco owners. If I have someone that doesn't have a knife emoji, that signifies to me, okay, they don't own Cutco. And if I'm doing this, I know, okay, I'm going and doing a sharpening. And I get their email, so it goes into their calendar as well. And I also write down who they got recommended by. She owns Cutco, said they were expensive, and her phone number. These are just a little bit of side nuggets. I wrote down that she said they were expensive because that then tells me, okay, great. I know that I need to rebuild value with this customer so that she can ensure that she's going to buy again. That's just a little side tangent. Ron, if you ever want me to talk again on whatever else, more than happy to. But is this making sense for everyone? It goes into my calendar and I'm organized with it. So I'll pull this up on my calendar and I go, hey, Mrs. Lisa, what's a good address just so I know where I'm going Tuesday at 7? That's the 4th time she's heard it in the past 30 seconds. Blah, 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 blah. And then I go, hey, by the way, what's a good email address just so it slots into your calendar Tuesday at 7 as well, just so you don't forget about me. Boom, puts it in her calendar. Now, as soon as we get off the phone, when I click save, it's going to ask her to send it to me, right? Or it's going to ask me to send it to her, and I send it to her. She gets a notification on her phone when we hop off the phone. This is in your calendar Tuesday at 7, and it has this information. Her name, who's it with, blah, 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 blah. Is this making sense for everyone? Am I going too fast, or is this good pace? Great. So she's heard it 5 times in the past minute, all right? Now I'm firming up the appointment. Mrs. Lisa, do you have a pen and paper nearby or the notes up on their phone? There's something that I need you to write down for Tuesday at 7's appointment that I'd want you to make note of. That's the 6th time she's heard it, right? She goes, let me grab it. By the way, guys, write this down. A lot of you are about efficiency, meaning like you're thinking to yourself, oh, wow, like this sounds like a really long time to talk to. Yes, it is a long time to talk to a customer. That's why I'm showing up and you're not, right? Is you want to ensure that when you're on the phone with this person, they understand that they've made a connection with you. How could you ever expect someone to let some random kid in their house if you spent 3 to 5 minutes on the phone with them? Yes, that happens sometimes, but we're here to make it happen every time. I'm going to say that again. Yes, it happens sometimes, but we're here to make it happen every time. So we want to talk to the customer for 10 to 15 minutes. If you were here for the January push, Sean Sweeney said, how long should you build rapport for? Can someone hold up a number of minutes? Okay, great. The number's 25. One of the best sales reps in your guys' division said 25 minutes is the minimum amount of rapport that you should have built with a customer. And what's important about that is, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What's important about that is, if that's the minimum, it's because you want to ensure that you make a connection with the customer so then they're open to buying. For the same reason that you need to make a connection with them on the phone so they're open to actually letting you in the door. So yes, it should take 10 to 15 minutes. So throughout these 10 to 15 minutes, I'm making sure that they're hearing the day and the time 10 to 15 times. So that's 6, right? And I go, what's a good email address? And then it slots in their calendar. And then I have them write it down. Mrs. Jones, can you please write down my name so you don't forget about me? My name's Alex. And this is a little joke that I like to use. I go, and my last name is Bolles, B as in boy, O-L-L-E-S. My last name's Bolles. Ironically, I work with kitchenware, right? And they laugh. That also is important for your customer to laugh on the phone. And then I go, hey, really quickly, and this is a little nugget for you guys to also firm up the appointment and plant the seed for a sale. Hey, by the way, Mrs. Jones, you don't have to buy anything, but I am going to ask you to buy something. So just in case you do, I can actually get you a discount. So the discount code that you can use for the demo, let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready. And I have them just write down my rep number, 655-84945. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, yes. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about that? Because I know that might be a little confusing for the rep number thing.
No, we use a confirmation number. That was great. That was great.
Okay, cool. So, and sorry, I'm trying to do 20 million things at once around my own office. So basically, I want them to hear it 10 to 20 times. After they've written all those things down, I'm not done, all right? Now I go, hey, by the way, Mrs. Jones, and this is another firm up line that I created when I was a sales rep. I know that this might be just some kid's knife demo to you, but I cannot express to you that this means the world to me. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to show up to your place of residence or your home Tuesday at 7:00. And she goes, oh my gosh, you're so welcome, right? And then I go, hey, by the way, I just want to respect your time as well as mine. Can you, if you saw something you liked, make that decision on your own, or do you want your husband to be there? Or your wife, whatever you know what I mean? Like if you're talking to whoever, do you want your husband to be there? 80% of the time they say I can make that decision on my own. 20% of the time they say, hey, I want my husband to be there. Now here's a line that you have to be confident in asking. And this is how I ensure that I can still close people on big packages without needing both people there. Most of the time, you guys, managers will promote, hey, you need to see both people together. And you do. But here's a way that you can close $1, $2, $3, $5,000 orders without needing both people there. After I ask the question of, hey, Mrs. Jones, can you make a decision on your own without your husband being there? And they say yes, then this is what I say. And you have to say this with confidence. So if you can't do this, just book both people. I'm being honest with you. Don't overshoot yourself. But here's what's important. What's important is when you're asking the customer, hey, can you ensure that you can do this time? And can you make a decision on your own? Then here's what I like to say. Hey, Mr. Jones, I know that you just mentioned you can make a decision on your own. Hypothetically, I came by and you're ready to remodel your whole kitchen for 10 to 15 grand. Is that something you could do by yourself, or do you want him there? And then they'll probably say, I'd probably want him there. But again, if you say that with confidence, hey, Mrs. Jones, when you say you can buy something by yourself, let's say I came by, you loved what you saw, and you want to remodel your entire kitchen for 10 to 15 grand. Is that a decision you could make by yourself, or would you want him there? And they'll tell you, they'll be straight up and honest with you. I'd probably want him there. And then you're like, great. When's the time that works best for both of you? This day at this time or this day at this time? And you're remapping it. But if they go, I can remodel my kitchen by myself, which by the way, guys, people do say, like when I go look at these orders, I'm not going to even bother trying to reshare my screen in this moment. But when I go look at these orders, I have both spouses' names on here, but I didn't see both of them together most of the time. I just made sure that they could spend that amount of money without them being there. Like I can think of a very specific demo. Let me see if I can find her name. Carrie Faircloth, here it is. So it was a $2,000 order, and she was referred to me by one of, actually, this is a good one to share. Here we go. So it was a 2,000 CPO order. She lived in a $700,000 house. This is when I met with her, and her son is Bailey. I went to school with her son. 3 years into the job, I'm seeing people that I went to school with their kids. I'm milking that, by the way. On every phone call with these people, by the way, Tracy, Amy, Jen, whoever, I literally say, I went to school with your son, Bailey, or her son, Bailey. How are you? Right? It's that extra layer of this is how I know this person. Is she bought that $2,000. She didn't cook at all. And her husband was not there. On the phone, she goes, I go, who's the main cook? You or your husband? She goes, it's my husband, but he's not going to be available for the appointment. And this is what I like to say to customers at that point. Hey, Mr. Jones, I don't want to waste your time or mine. If I pop by and show you something that you'd really love to get him, can you make that decision by yourself? She said, yes. And then I said again, hey, let's say hypothetically you want to remodel your whole kitchen for 10 to 15 grand. Could you swing it without him being there? If you saw something you liked, obviously. And she goes, yes, I could. Went by. I lost my voice the night before and like literally was talking like super raspy and couldn't really speak. And she spent $2,000 and gave me, I think it was 20 referrals. However many this is, 18 referrals. Right? And Tracy Carver, I don't know what that led to. I guess it was either a cancellation or a sale, right? Whatever. Amy Downing led to, and you guys can see this, Amy Downing, boom, 1,600 CPO, $500,000 house, right? And you're just literally rinse and repeat. Cindy Peterson, boom, 568, right? And then it's a funnel and a cycle, and it's just making it a replicable process where I know every time someone's going into my calendar, I'm seeing them and I'm getting a sale. Ron, I think in the past 12 months, I can confidently say I've had less than 10 no sales. And that's on about 90,000 CPO personally sold. I haven't had a no sale this year. I haven't sold that much this year. I've sold like 10 grand, but I haven't had a no sale this year at all. But to my point, right? I'm seeing people and I'm qualifying that they can make a decision. That's important, right? Because once we get there, we don't just want to make sure that they show up. We want to make sure they can buy if they want to. So that's how both spouses can be there. You want them there, and it's simply by making sure, by asking. And here's another way of doing that. When you ask if their spouse can be there, right? You go, hey, Mrs. Jones, I just want to make sure that, your husband can be there Tuesday at 7. Sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, he'll be around. Has anyone ever heard that before? Yeah, he'll be around, or she'll be around. You're like, hey, they can be around, but I only get credit if they're actually sitting down with me. Can you drag them into it? I promise I'll keep it super quick. And normally I say that to the wife. I'll be like, hey, can you drag your husband into a kitchen demonstration? I promise you I'll tell some dad jokes, cut up some food. I'll be out of your hair quicker than your favorite shampoo. Can you get him there? And then they'll laugh and they'll go like, yeah, I can get him there. And I go, great. What's his name? And I write that down inside of the notes. So it's like Mrs. Jones and Mr. Bones, right? And once I am done with that, then I tell them, hey, Mrs. Jones, I'm looking forward to seeing you and your husband this day at this time. Thank you so much. And then I get off the phone. So the final thing that Ron wanted me to touch on is an attack list. Ron, do you feel like I covered on the 2 things you wanted good, or do you want anything else? Or do you want me to fill in any holes? Ask me a question.
No, those were great. Do you have time for Q&A?
I'll have time for Q&A after this. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I have just FSM's phone jamming. The lowest person's in the room is at 25K. I trust that they're going to make phone calls. So you have me for whatever.
Solid.
How to make an attack list. So this is also something that Ron asked me to do. And I'm very opinionated, as some people will find out. I'm very forthcoming with how I think. You don't need an attack list if every recommendation you have is great. You make your attack list not before coming into a phone jam, but when you ask for recommendations. I want you guys to write that down. You make an attack list not when you're coming into a phone jam, but when you're asking for recommendations. Have you built enough rapport with your customer to tell them, I don't want you to refer me to people that do not buy? Do you? If you don't, you're losing, and the guy that's willing to ask that question is winning. I'm going to say that again because that's the truth. It's funny because the only thing that separates good sales reps from great sales reps and bad sales reps from good sales reps is simply just your belief system. Because if you're not doing it, Alex Hormozi has another great quote. Write down everything that you're not willing to sacrifice to hit your goal. The guy that's beating you or the woman that's beating you is doing that list. So here's the list of things that I do that you're not willing to do to ensure that you're having $2,500 order after $1,600 order after $600 order after $1,500 order after $2,000 order after $700 order. Every single demo, every time. And look, I don't get recommendations every time, but look when I'm getting recommendations. How many I'm getting? I'm ensuring that I'm getting a lot, right? Other than Anne, she wasn't that nice, clearly. Or maybe I'm not that good also. But look how many Cutco owners are in here too. I'm asking for the right kinds of people. Everyone with a knife emoji is in the app and it tells me, you know what I mean? Okay, I know this person already owns Cutco, right? More Cutco owners. More Cutco owners. Like I'm asking, look at all these knife emojis. I'm asking for layups. When you see someone with Cutco and you know how to sell the Cutco owners, it's just layup after layup after layup. And they're quicker demos. So I know that when I'm booking Cutco owners, I can book them more than likely an hour and a half apart rather than 2 because I'm in and out quicker and they're more ready to buy. They're also easier to get recommendations from and all of those things. So I even started to take it a step further. And with like Lori and Kent Gruber, it was 451 CPO. They lived in the Point. It was a $1.5 million house. Their sons' name were Alex and Jason. They went to Lake Norman High School and played basketball. I'm telling the next customer that on the phone. So I'm trying to see, like, I don't know if I did Melanie or whoever. Great. So like Melanie, this was her phone number. She already owned Cutco. Went over to her house. She bought one thing from me, but I remember this. It was a cheese knife and I was there for 10 minutes. And she gave me these people. The reality of it is, you guys, is chase efficiency. And how you chase efficiency is, I don't need to make an attack list because everyone that I've already asked for is who I want. I'm going to say that again. I don't need an attack list. I don't need to spend time making a list because everyone on my list is people that I already want. Here's how I do that. When I'm at a customer's house, I have built a connection with them to where I'm their son or their daughter. Guys, if you're someone's son or daughter, your mom, when she's giving you referrals, who is she thinking of giving you? She's giving you to people that she wants to help support you. If you've ever done a demo for someone before that wasn't that great and they gave you recommendations, like I've had great demos where they've bought a lot and I pull up to a trailer park and I'm like, damn, this person just didn't know what I needed. That's my fault. Even if it isn't, it is. If you want to be successful, that's a great quote. Even if it isn't, it is. That's a life philosophy. Even if it is not, it is. So even if it's not my fault that I didn't ask for great recommendations because I had to get out the door quick or whatever, it is my fault. I didn't make the time. Here's another great tip for you guys. If I'm sitting in front of somebody getting recommendations and I'm going to be late to my next demo, I'm going to let them cancel if I have to. I don't care about the next demo until I've gotten everything out of the lemon from the first one. I would rather squeeze the entire lemon for what it's got and have a chance to go to the next one than take half from each. So when I'm sitting in front of a customer, I'm ensuring that I'm getting every last drop out of that person in terms of the recommendations that they can give me. So when I'm going through recommendations with them, I'm making sure that I'm meeting with people that are qualified. And you guys in your heads right now are thinking to yourself, well, it must be nice that you're seeing $700,000 house after $700,000 house after $900,000 house after $1 million house. If you don't know this, when I was a sales rep, I want everyone to throw up a finger of how many months it took them to get to 10K, roughly. Throw up a finger of how many months it took for you to get from $0 to $10,000. Throw it up. Okay, I see it. 2, 3. I hope everyone else knows how to count. Can I get numbers for anyone else? Especially on Zoom, because that's only who I can see. All right. It took me 7 months to get from $0 to $10,000. Not because I sucked, but because I didn't do the right activity. And my objective of this message is you get there a lot quicker than I did. Okay? And here's what I mean by that. I didn't start off in the greatest network. Do you guys know how many recommendations my mom gave me? 1. And you're like, it must have been the best recommendation in the world. It was a dude who bought a pocket knife on Zoom. Guess how many my dad gave me? I didn't do a demo for my dad. Right? So the reality, and guess how many siblings my mom had? None. Right? So the start for me for this blew hard. So for me to get into this network, I know there are some people sitting in your seat going, it must be nice that he's seeing $1 million house after $1 million house. It is nice because I put in the work. It is nice because I had to figure out questions to ask customers to see $1 million houses. That's what's the nice part is when you do what's required, when you do what, not what you think, but actually what is, it's amazing how God or the world, whatever you believe in, gives you the desired outcome that you want. It's amazing how that works. So taking away from this, right? If you want anything from this, it's not what you're taking notes on. It's what you go and implement. So implementing these things, when I'm sitting with a customer, I am asking that customer, Heather and Mark Wonder, Heather and Mark, thank you so much for this $700 order. This is exactly what I say. I'm going to be totally honest with you. This next part, I would rather me hand you your $1,000 back that you just spent on knives for helping me with this next part. I need your help. And then I go through my recommendations approach. By the way, if you don't have that memorized, that's on you. I can give it to you with my eyes closed, right? Where it's like, hey, Mrs. Jones, how'd you like my demo? Great. Thanks so much. Here's where you can really help me out. And then you go into your pitch, right? I get credit every single time that I show Kako, but I can only show it to people I've been personally recommended to. The app that you downloaded is designed to be a huge time saver for the both of us for this part. So at the bottom of your screen, what I really need you to do is click the share button, then click the grant access, then grant all access button. Then it's going to let you like 10 to 20 people who might be nice enough to take a look. Not people that are going to buy, just people who might be nice enough to take a look. Everyone gives me 10 to 20 so they can sponsor me. Single sponsors 10, double sponsors 20. And then you go through the alphabet with them. The alphabet part's where I change it, and my sponsor levels are 20 and 30. because I'm a firm believer that I can get more. So when I'm going through these 20 people, I go, hey, Mr. Jones, when I'm asking for these 20, I don't want just anybody. I am looking for people who you think can and want to support me. Now, that's scary for a lot of you guys, but that's why I'm seeing people that are qualified. You have to be confident. And I tell people this, Ron, I'm going to ask you a question, and I think that you'll like this quote. Who gets what they want in life? People that work hard or people that are lazy?
People that work for us.
People that ask for what they want. That's who gets what they want, right? So people that, who gets in life what they want? People that work hard or people that are lazy? People that ask for what they want, right? You're going to get in life exactly what you ask for. So when you're with a customer, if you tell them, I'm not looking for people who you think would buy, just so nice to them, take a look, that's who they're going to give you. Doesn't it make so much sense? They're like, okay, well, hey, if I can sponsor you, here's Sherry, she works at McDonald's. Here's John, I met him at the grocery store, right? That's who they're going to give you. So when you get good enough at this to be confident in asking for what you want, tell them, Mrs. Jones, who sold you your house? Give me their number. I want real estate agents. Mrs. Jones, who's the nicest person in your phone that you think would see me tomorrow? And they'll tell you, oh, probably Beth. She's super nice, right? Hey, Mrs. Jones, who do you know that if they wanted to would redo their entire kitchen? That's a nice way of asking, hey, who do you know that's rich without actually saying it? Hey, Mr. Jones, who do you know that if they wanted to could redo their entire kitchen tomorrow? Because I am selling knives and I have this huge big goal, as I've told you about before. And so what that does for your business is I don't need to sit there and spend another hour to 2 making an attack list. I spend 10 minutes on every demo over qualifying everybody. So then when I'm calling, I know I'm calling someone that has a husband or a wife, has the credit card to buy the things that I want, and lives in the area. And that is all that I need to go do what I need to do. And the phone takes care of the rest from there. That's really all I've got for you guys. This wasn't as much a motivational message as it was informational. More than happy to do Q&A or anything that you guys want from me as well. Even if it's off the wall, I've got a little bit of time.
Sweet. Thank you, Alex. That was phenomenal. Any questions for him?
Yeah, I got one. With the spreadsheet, after doing a presentation, what's the timeline, or when are you adding it to it? Is it the end of the day, or?
So that's a great question. And by the way, guys, I employ that you ask questions, because another quote that I have that I made up, which is, you will live a life to the depth of the questions you ask. The deeper questions you ask, the deeper results you're going to get. So this only serves you more than it does me. So to answer your question, I believe it's Demario or Demario. I try to enter them in literally as soon as I get in my car, because what I will do is, as soon as I leave their house and I've gotten my 10 texted recs or 20 texted recs, I shoot them all out a message individually of, hey, this is Alex. I just met with your friend so-and-so. I'm doing this thing for a sponsorship because I'm not in school. So I say sponsorship. Would right now be a good time to call you, or later today? And then I call them literally when I'm in the car. And I just have my laptop pulled up while I'm driving. So as long as you know you don't die or get a ticket, you're fine. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
As soon as possible would be the best answer. Other questions?
What was your best way of like building confidence when you were just starting?
Yeah, it's a great question. So also, it took me 7 months to sell 10 grand. So obviously I did not think I was great at this job when I started. And then when I was in high school, I was also 270 pounds. So I've lost over 100 pounds. And don't say that to impress anybody, just to press upon you. I was not the most confident guy. I was not the guy walking into school or walking into the office thinking I was hot shit, right? What allowed me to build confidence is this is another quote that I'm sure some people have heard. Confidence really isn't something that you fake. It's just an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are, right? So it's like, there's nothing that I can tell you leaving this call that's going to make anyone more confident. That's the truth. You leaving this Zoom call, there is not words that I can form into a sentence that can give you confidence. But what you can do is leave this Zoom call and watch every Alex Funk video that you can, every Vector Connect video that you can, meet with as many people as possible about getting better at the job as you can, get a coach and spend as much money as you can on getting better, and you will believe that you're better. Because by definition, how could you not be? How could you not be, right? Like Tyler, how much you got in sales?
I just hit 3K last week.
Fantastic. How could you ever expect yourself to be the best at this yet? Right? Keywords yet. Okay. So giving yourself the confidence, not necessarily in who you are right now, but who you can become. And you will get there sooner rather than later with steps and actions that you put in. It's very easy for someone when they're, new to this or new to anything to say, I'm not confident, as you should be. A lot of times people sit there and tell me like, you'll hear people say like, I get anxiety or I get worried about things really easily. What if that's not a symptom? What if it's feedback? What if it's your body telling you maybe you should be worried about that? Maybe you shouldn't be confident. Because imagine, Tyler, if you walked into the office and you thought you were hot shit and you were at $3,000, people are going to look at you like, who's this guy? He sold a ciggy and some change, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure you're kind of new, right? But believe me, I wasn't confident 6 months into the job walking in, and I'm watching people sell 10 grand their first 10 days. And I'm like, I've been almost here for 10 months, right? I remember sitting next to people that blew past me in a couple days when I was sitting here putting in hella work for months. It served me nothing to be confident, because if I was, that means I wasn't chasing getting better. So chase getting better and confidence will follow that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, of course. What else? I employ questions.
Yep.
Yes, I know you are a DM and you are selling. What was the biggest challenge with still managing your office as well as still being as consistent with sales?
That's a great question. Consistency in the inconsistency, meaning I sold for about 6 weeks last year and I sold 90 grand last year. Oh, no, sorry. I sold 80 grand last year. It was like 82. I sold 82 grand last year in 6 weeks. 25 of it was for ST2. 18 of it was for Olean. I had a 8K day randomly somewhere in that time frame and something else. But a big part of that is, if you're a manager, I'm assuming whoever asked this question is probably running a branch or running an office. That's a phenomenal question. When I say consistency and the inconsistency, it's not about doing a handful of demos every week. It's when are you fully committed to something? Like this summer, from the weeks of, whatever it is, April to, end of June, early July, you're not going to even see me making a phone call. But when SC2 comes, you're not going to see me running training. You're not going to see me setting a PR. Now, I'm not saying that you should do that, but I'm saying that's what I do to get the success that I want. Is I make seasonal priorities. And that's a life skill, not a knife skill. You guys should write that down. Seasonal priorities, right? It's not about, for me losing 100 pounds, it's much easier to maintain being 170 pounds right now than it was to lose that 100. Losing that 100 took a lot more of a seasonal commitment. You know what I mean? So same thing with your demos, right? Like if you're running an office, or if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or anything, you've got to commit to certain things at certain times more often than not and give 100% of your focus to it. That way you can maintain it with a greater level of success on the back end. Like I'm building another business right now. I own a tree company. That takes up some of my time, but once it's built, I can focus on something else. But I can't spread myself thin and try to open 10 businesses at one time. I hope that answers the question. Sorry if you guys can hear this texting. Ron, do you have anything for me, or does anyone else have any questions?
No, I think we're good. Thank you, Alex. That was phenomenal content. Great stuff.
Yeah, I try, dude. To everyone on here, you guys are under a phenomenal manager. He just was promoted to be what's called a millionaire DM. That's one of, I think, 6 people in our entire region. You guys are under somebody who I personally respect highly in the business. And I highly employ that whenever you guys need something, you go and ask your manager, because Ron's a seasoned professional. And like I mentioned, confidence is the undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are. Set up a PC with Ron. Whatever you're at in sales, go ask him, how do I get to the next level? And he will tell you, but you are not at that level yet because you haven't done what's required. So ask him questions, get feedback, get information from him, especially for you, Tyler, right? Leaving this call, you asked me, how do you get more confidence? Text Ron right after we leave and go, hey man, when can we get a 15-minute PC on the fastest way to get to $10,000? And you will be more confident leaving that conversation, I promise you. So that's what I've got for everyone. I'm bouncing. Ron, thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I will see you guys at some point soon, hopefully.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
sir. I'll drop your recording.
Yep. Thank you.